Karuna Sindhu. There are so many lessons of these stories, but the reciprocation of the kindness and the love of the Lord for his devotee and the surrender of devotee is the most important lesson, the most important knowledge in all creation. The Lord appeared as Ram, and there are countless stories. Jatayu, he was a simple bird. And among birds, he was a vulture. He wasn't a peacock who dances beautifully. He wasn't a cuckoo who sings sweetly. He wasn't a swan who drinks nectar and swims so gracefully. He wasn't an eagle that soars in the sky with majesty. He was a vulture. What are vultures famous for? Devouring dead corpses. Have you ever heard anyone praised with heartfelt appreciation by comparing them to a vulture? Think about it. They're ugly. They eat carcasses. Jatayu is a vulture, the lowest caste among birds. But yet when Sita was being taken by Ravana, Sita told Jatayu, don't try to fight because you're too old. You will suffer and die. Just tell Ram where I'm going. But Jatayu could not stand back and see this offense taking place. He leapt in the air with all the strength he had. He declared war against Ravana. He destroyed the asses that were pulling his aerial chariot. He destroyed his chariot. He killed his chariot driver. He started tearing Ravana's body to pieces with his beak. But ultimately, he got tired. And Ravana cut off his wings and cut off his legs. And Sita went and embraced this bloody bird. She was so infinitely grateful. You gave your life for me. And later on, Ram came to the scene, and he saw pools of blood and this big bird. And after all that, his own beloved Lord, who he did everything for, Ram says, this bird has eaten Sita. At this moment, I will punish him and send him to the abode of Yamaraj. Is that what you expect from the Lord after you give your life for his beloved? Jatayu was on the verge of death. He said, Ram, it's me, Jatayu. And he tried to explain what happened. Ram embraced Jatayu's body with his own loving arms. He embraced Jatayu's body tightly to his heart. And he told Jatayu, on this very day, for the service that you have done, I will send you to Vaikuntha, to my eternal abode. And Jatayu, chanting Ram's name, gave up his life, and Ram wept torrents of tears. The loss of my father Dasarath, the kidnapping of Sita, does not pain my heart as much as separation from a devotee like Jatayu, who has sacrificed everything for me. What's so interesting about this story is, from material perspective, Jatayu failed. He lost. He tried to keep Sita from being taken away. He was cut to pieces. He was about to lose his life, and Sita was gone with Ravana. Ramchandra did not see whether Jatayu was successful or failure by material standards. He saw the sincerity of his devotion. And Ram wept and wept and wept to show the whole world how much he loves his devotee, whether we win or lose. To please the Lord is the only standard of victory. And to displease the Lord is failure, even if we gain the whole world. Hanuman, in order to find Sita, he jumped across an ocean, overcoming every type of impediment. He gave so much happiness and hope to Sita. Then he faced Ravana and told him exactly what he thought of him, taking great risks. Then he burned the majority of the city of Sri Lanka, then jumped back over the ocean, then came and gave the message with the dream of Sita. And Ram, he was so overwhelmed. He said, I'm living in the forest. I've lost my kingdom. I've lost everything. I'm living in a retreat. I've been manic here. What do I have to give you to reward you for what you've done for me? All I have is my love. And Ramchandra, he embraced Hanuman. And for Hanumanji, that was the ultimate reward. The embrace of the love of the Lord. Ram is pleased with me. For Hanuman, that was the all in all of his life. Vibhishan, the brother of Ravana, rejected Ravana after giving all good advice to him and came to surrender to Ram. Sugriva and other monkeys said to Ram, no, do not accept him. Although Ram is the supreme personality of Godhead who's all-knowing, he always consulted his devotees just to show the standard of the relationships we should have with each other. Sugriva said we should kill Vibhishan, or at least we should punish him, beat him, and reject him, because he's the brother of Ravana. Now he's angry with Ravana because they had a dispute, but in the middle of the battle, when it really comes to life or death, he's going to side with his own brother, because blood is very thick in this world. We cannot accept him. It's too much of a risk. Hanuman was asked by Ram, what is your opinion? Hanumanji said, I saw his face and I heard the tone of his voice. He's sincere. I believe him. We should accept him as a brother. Sugriva was furious when he heard this, and he was the king. He explained every possible reason why Vibhishan must be rejected. Ram then spoke those immortal words. If anyone, whoever they may be, even one time, with a sincere heart, calls out, "My dear Lord, I am yours," I will forgive that person from all offenses, give that person protection forever, and accept as my own. Before you all, I make this vow that anyone, even if Ravana himself were today to come to me to take shelter, I will give him complete shelter. Sugriva and all others wept and cried, "Yes, my Lord, let us accept Vibhishan." And on that very day, with the water of the ocean, Ram coronated Vibhishan as the king of Lanka. When the Lord descends, Karuna Sindhu, shows this ocean of compassion, this ocean of love for his devotees. The culmination and the highest, most inclusive level of this love is manifested in Vrindavan. It is the supreme abode. When Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan made his decision to descend into the material world, he comes in his original transcendental form only once in a day of Brahma. That means Krishna comes and reveals the pastimes of Vrindavan once every 8,640,000,000 years. He told Srimati Radharani his plan. And she said, "I cannot live without you. I want to come with you." Sita was willing to leave Ayodhya to go into the forest for 14 years to be with Ram. And Sri Radharani is willing to come down to the material world, the place of birth and death, the place of so many envious, demoniac people, to be with Krishna. And Krishna smiled, said, "Yes, we will go together." And Srimati Radharani said, "But I will not be happy unless the forest of Vrindavan, Govardhan Hill, and the river Yamuna come with us." Krishna said, "I know your heart. I have already sent them." Vrindavan, the forest, the hill Govardhan, the Yamuna, it is all manifested in this world by the will of Srimati Radharani. The nature of Vrindavan is revealed in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. In Jagannath Puri, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with his devotees, were celebrating the Hera Panchami festival. What this festival is Jagannath, Krishna. He leaves the Jagannath temple, which in this Leela represents Dwarka, Kurukshetra, to go to Gundicha, which represents Vrindavan. In fact, it is Vrindavan. And as Jagannath is enjoying in the beautiful gardens of Vrindavan, Lakshmi comes with the servants, and she's very angry. Why Krishna has left the supreme opulences of my abode to be in this Gundicha, this Vrindavan forest. It's a very, very interesting festival. Please read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita to find out the details. But as this was going on, Lord Chaitanya spoke to Swarup Damodar Goswami. He said, please describe to us the sweet rasas of Vrindavan. Srivas Thakur smiled. And he said, just see the opulence of my Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune. In comparison, all that there is in Vrindavan is some flowers, some leaves, some minerals from the hills. Strewn on the ground is a few peacock feathers and a plant called gunja. These gopis, what do? They milk cows, they churn butter, but my goddess of fortune is sitting on a magnificent golden throne decorated with jewels. Lord Chaitanya smiled. He said, Srivas, you are just like Narada Muni, creating controversy for a higher purpose. Somehow or other, you have been influenced by the majestic opulences of the Lord. But Swarup Damodar Goswami, he's a pure devotee of Vrindavan. He doesn't know anything about these majestic opulences. He simply knows pure devotional service. Swarup Damodar Goswami, tell us, what is Vrindavan? And Swarup Damodar Goswami, he said, please hear attentively, my dear Sir Srivas. Compared the Lord's supreme, complete opulences in Vrindavan are compared to an unlimited ocean. And the opulences of Dwarka and Vaikuntha are like tiny little drops in comparison. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead who possesses all six opulences: complete wealth, knowledge, fame, beauty, renunciation, and power. I'm sorry. Only in Vrindavan, in the form of Krishna, are these six opulences completely embodied and manifested. The natural opulences of Vrindavan is that the soil is Chintamani. Every single little grain of dust is more precious than all the jewels and all the wealth and all the heavenly planets and all the Vaikuntha planets. Because every grain of dust of Vrindavan has the power to purify our hearts and awaken ecstatic love of Krishna. And the trees The trees of Vrindavan are kalpabriksha. They could fulfill all the desires of everyone. And the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the Brijabasis, they do not want anything else except the fruits and the flowers from those trees. And the cows, there's unlimited cows in Vrindavan. And they are all kamadhenu, which means any cow can give infinite quantities of milk. And that milk is sweeter than nectar. And those cows are peacefully grazing in one pasture after another after another. And the Brijabasis, they don't want anything but the little bit of that milk. In Vrindavan, all talking is singing. All motion is dancing. All water is nectar. And the constant companion for Krishna is his flute. And that flute induces the highest ecstasies of love in everyone's hearts. The quantity and the quality of the loving relationships between Krishna and all of his devotees is supreme. Everything and everyone in Vrindavan is purely expressing the highest, most intimate, selfless love, and Krishna is offering the deepest, purest pastimes of love to his devotees. This, Srivas, is the opulence of Vrindavan. When Srivas heard that, he started clapping his hands, smiling, hysterically laughing and dancing. Seeing this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to dance. And he told Swarup Damodar Goswami, go on singing the glories of Vrindavan. And as Swarup Damodar Goswami sang more and more, the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced more and more and more blissfully and kept saying, go on reciting, go on reciting. Swarup Damodar Goswami was singing, singing, singing the glories of Vrindavan as if he had millions of mouths, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing, dancing, dancing in the mood of Radharani's love. He became so uncontrolled in his ecstasy of Sri Radha that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested the form of Sri Radha dancing in ecstasy. And Lord Nityananda Prabhu from a distance saw his beloved Lord in Sri Radha's form, and from a distance offered his obeisances and offered prayers, but he couldn't come close. But Lord Nityananda Prabhu was the only person who could stop Lord Chaitanya from dancing. So now there was no stopping him. The Lord just kept dancing, 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 hour after hour after hour, ecstatically as everyone chanted the holy names. Swarup Damodar Goswami finally told the Lord that everyone is completely fatigued except you. Please stop dancing. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came back to external consciousness and returned to his place. Across the river Yamuna is Belvan, where Lakshmi Devi, she left Vaikuntha and Lord Narayan in order to enter into the Gopis' Leela with Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told this story to Venkatabhatta in Srirangam. And Venkatabhatta said, yes, but it's completely proper because Krishna and Narayan are exactly the same person, so for Lakshmi to leave Narayan for Krishna is not unchaste because Krishna and Narayan is the same person. And Lord Chaitanya said, yes, they are definitely the same person. And Lakshmi is supremely chaste, but still, she wasn't allowed in the Rasa Leela. It is said for 10,000 years in Vrindavan she performed tapasya. And ultimately Krishna manifested his beautiful threefold bending form to her, and she surrendered. But she was not allowed to come into the Rasa Leela because she still saw the Lord as her master. And she still conceived of herself as the all-opulent goddess of fortune. To be a gopi means to milk cows, to churn butter, to carry cow dung on your head. This Vrindavan reveals the supremacy among all spiritual abodes of Sri Braj Bhumi. And Lord Shiva also wanted to renounce everything else to take on the mood of a gopi. Understood that there is no higher spiritual experience of love than the gopis for Krishna. He was told that if you want to enter the Rasa Leela, you must take the female form of a gopi. He was told to go to Mansarovar. Mansarovar across the Yamuna is the place that Srimati Radharani filled that lake with the tears of her love and separation for Krishna. And the power of those tears, the power of Radha's love, when Shiva took his bath, he came out with the bhava, the love, and the form of a gopi. And he was given the service of the guardian of the Rasa Leela as Gopeshwar Mahadev. And the great-grandson of Lord Krishna installed the Murti of Shiva as Gopeshwar Mahadev, and if you go there in the evening, he's dressed like Gopi. Beautiful darshan. Lord Shiva with sari and nose ring. And he'd rather be in this form than any other, because it's where the deepest loving service can be offered. And Lord Brahma, who is the father, the secondary father of every living entity in this entire universe, in all the 14 planetary systems, his lifespan is 311 trillion years. The 4 Vedas come out from his mouths. He's the original guru of everyone in this universe, after Krishna. But yet Brahma, during Brahma Vimohan Leela, when he saw this little boy Krishna, who was so small with a little stick, looking for his calves with a lump of yogurt and rice in his hand, Brahma surrendered his heart, his soul, that there is no higher abode than Vrindavan. There is no deeper love than what is within Vrindavan. And Brahma wanted to leave his post to take the form of a little mountain, so that Krishna and Sri Radha and all the gopas and all the gopis and all the peacocks and all the cows and all the birds and all the monkeys would put the dust of their feet on his head. That is how worshipable Vrindavan is. Uddhava, who is the dearest, closest associate of Krishna in Dwarka, he prayed and did tapasya to leave his high post as Krishna's best friend and a royal prince of Mathura and Dwarka to be a little blade of grass or a tiny creeper growing from the ground in Vrindavan. Because he understood that in order for him to actually taste the sweetness of the love of the Brijavasis, whose love for Krishna was incomparable and whose Krishna's love for them was infinitely great, he required to take the most menial position of a servant, to be under the feet of the gopas, the gopis, and all other residents of Vrindavan. We are here, and we may be seeing all sorts of traffic jams, sewage, hogs, merchants who want to take more money than you want to give them. Srila Prabhupada explained to us that there's a very thin layer that covers Vrindavan. We must see, not with our eyes, we must see with our hearts. By hearing from the scriptures and the great souls, we develop faith. And we must see with the vision of that faith that nothing can pollute or contaminate Vrindavan. It is the place of Krishna's Nitya Leela. Krishna's pastimes are categorized in 8 different parts of the day. And Krishna's performing those pastimes with all of his eternal associates and Sri Radha, Nanda, Yashoda, forever in Vrindavan. But it is only revealed according to our love, according to our surrender. Bhaktya mam abhijana, bhaktya tvamanya yashakyam, aham evam vidurjana. Krishna tells in Gita that only by pure devotion can I be seen as I am standing before you. Very important that we come here not to enjoy, not as a vacation. We come here to serve. We come here to surrender. We come here to become purified by hearing, by chanting, and by performing any type of seva in the association of devotees. The Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita gives us a beautiful verse that brought Lord Chaitanya so much happiness, where this poet prayed that I do not worship the Vedas or the Itihastas. I do not worship those scriptures that people follow out of fear of the sufferings of material existence. I worship Nanda Maharaj, in whose courtyard the supreme Brahman, Krishna, is crawling around like a little baby child. Sri Vrindavan Dham is Chintamani. It is the place that fulfills all of our desires. But we don't get entrance into this Chintamani Dham until our only desire is the loving service of the servants of the servants of the servants of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. Yashoda Mai made a pair of shoes for Krishna because he was going out to herd cows. And he was going to be gone from just after sunrise until sunset. Krishna told Yashoda Mai that I'm the servant of my cows. If you want me to wear shoes, you have to make nice shoes that fit perfectly for every single one of my cows. And Krishna had 900,000 cows. 900,000 times 4, you can calculate. Yashoda Mai couldn't make those many shoes. So Krishna went barefoot. And knowing that Krishna was going to be barefoot, Mother Earth, Sri Brinda Devi, by her arrangement, the earth made the ground of Vrindavan very, very soft, fine powder, like the pollen of a lotus flower. And it was never hot, and it was never cold. It simply gave pleasure to Krishna's lotus feet. And there were no thorns and no stones. And Krishna, in reciprocation of Mother Earth, he stepped on her with his bare feet. And Mother Earth proclaims forever that the supreme ornament of all ornaments is Krishna's footprints. She's giving Krishna ecstasy, and Krishna's giving her ecstasy. And those footprints were so sacred that even though Krishna was running and walking and dancing and jumping all around, not a single of all the cows and all the calves and all the bulls and all the gopas and all the gopis, even the birds or the monkeys, they would never step on Krishna's footprints, because each one of them was so beautiful to their hearts. When Krishna would see a tree, as Krishna glanced at the tree would instantly blossom with flowers and fruits like this world has never seen, as an expression of their love for Krishna. And Krishna would reciprocate by showing through his smile that he was so pleased with those trees. And the trees would become so ecstatic to please Krishna that the flowers would become more fragrant and more colorful, and the fruits would become more beautiful and sweet. And this could go on forever. The river Yamuna, when Krishna would enter, Yamuna, through her waves, would embrace the body of Krishna. Not for her pleasure, for Krishna's pleasure. And Krishna would feel her love. And by his touch, he would reciprocate. Beautiful lotus flowers would grow in abundance all around Krishna as Yamuna would celebrate her good fortune. And Govardhan Hill and all the mountains of Vrindavan, when Krishna would come, the stones would become soft and Krishna would give ecstasy by stepping on them. All of the waterfalls were like the tears of ecstasy offered to Krishna. The lakes and the bodies of waters and the ponds were sweeter than intoxicating nectar. And Krishna would reciprocate by drinking that water. And there's no greater happiness that a devotee wants than just pleasing Krishna. The caves would be cool in the summer and warm in the winter. And Krishna would go into those caves. The little calves. Jiva Goswami explains how Krishna would embrace a little calf. And Krishna knows every devotee's innermost consciousness. So if any calf had an itch, Krishna knew exactly where that calf was itching. And Krishna would go right up to that little calf and scratch. Embrace the calf with one arm and then scratch. If the itch was in the side of her face, Krishna would scratch it. If the itch was in the bottom of her neck, Krishna would scratch it. So personal. And sometimes Krishna would put his forehead against the calf's forehead and press their heads together. And then Krishna would say to the little calf, if you're missing your mother, I will immediately take you back to your mother. And the little calf is thinking, Krishna cares so much about me. Krishna is so personal to me. This is the loving reciprocation of Vrindavan. And every evening when it was time to bring the cows back to Nandagaon, Krishna would climb the tree called Terakadamba. And he would call out the names of every single cow. Now there's over 900,000. So how long does it take to chant all those names? It took Krishna 1 second. Because Krishna has a Chintya Shakti. He has inconceivable potencies. And in Vrindavan, those inconceivable potencies are manifested in how he increases the ecstasy of his devotees through his love. So Krishna could say one name. He could call out Surabhi. And every single cow would hear Krishna chanting her name. Shamali, Godavari, whatever it was. And each cow, out of almost 1 million cows, each one is thinking, Krishna's personally calling me. All these cows, he's just calling me. And that cow would moo. And when the cow would moo, Krishna would hear that cow chanting his names. Because Krishna knows every language. And then the cows would run. Krishna's calling me. The cows would run. Their bags were massive bags filled with milk. Each of these Kamadhenu cows could give incredible, unlimited qualities of milk. And because their motherly love for Krishna was so much awakened, Milk was pouring out of their bags as their bags were swaying back and forth, and they were running to meet Krishna, and their tails were raised. And each one of them came to Tirakadamba, and each one saw that Krishna's only looking at me.